An emotional candlelight vigil tonight in Santaquin for fallen police Sergeant Hoosier. We're live with the community.
Today was a transitional day with some big changes on tap for tomorrow. We're tracking the potential for some damaging downslope winds for the northern Wasatch Front. How long this will last and what to expect in the Mother's Day weekend.
Naming Utah's new NHL franchise. Tonight, the launch of the official survey, how you can weigh in and when the team name becomes official.
A 10-year-old hockey player from right here in Utah will get to spend part of the spring and summer traveling the United States and Canada playing the sport he loves. I'll tell you why.
How bags like these are helping keep people safe while you're driving.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
The way the community has come together to support the Hoosiers is something truly awe-inspiring.
I just ask that we always remember him and remember the Hoosier family, and we continue to stay Santaquin strong.
With grief and gratitude, family, friends, and those who didn't even know fallen Santaquin Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier came together tonight to honor him. Grief at his tragic passing, gratitude for everything he was and what he represented. Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. Kelly is live at Centennial Park in Santaquin tonight, where they came to hold a candlelight vigil. And Kelly, Sergeant Hoosier's passing is starting to sink in now.
Bob, it was emotional and beautiful here tonight. Hundreds of people showed up to honor the life and legacy of this brave sergeant. From musical numbers to a moment of silence, the community rallied to show how they will not forget the sacrifice Sergeant Hoosier made and the price his family has to pay. The vigil started around 8 p.m. this evening. People came through writing heartfelt messages onto signs. 4 people got up to speak, actually 3 speakers, 1 singer, all in remembrance of Sergeant Hoosier.
We hope you fly high, Bill. Thank you for being an incredible example of kindness. Dignity, courage, nobility, and love. Until we see you again, rest in love.
I can promise you that he has taught all of us back here and all of the community to continue to stand stronger, love more, and I can assure you we will stand up as one.
As you can tell, so emotional here at this vigil tonight. And you know, aside from the speakers and the beautiful music, visually what people saw was so touching. One of the strongest moments I can tell you that I witnessed myself is when Sergeant Hoosier's widow came in, Kendra Hoosier, wearing Sergeant Hoosier's police jacket tonight. The tributes to Sergeant Hoosier will continue well past tonight, of course. This Saturday, the U.S. Honor Flag will be in Utah to honor him. The Honor Flag travels around the country to be at the side of those who have died while serving before they are laid to rest. It was last in Utah 4 years ago, you may remember, when Ogden police officer Nathan Lyday was shot and killed in the line of duty while responding to a domestic violence call. The man who accompanies the flag to various memorials says it's a way to never forget those who made the ultimate sacrifice. Funeral services for Sergeant Hoosier will take place next Monday at the UCCU Event Center at Utah Valley University. The service begins at 10 a.m. Everyone is welcome to attend. Sergeant Hoosier will then be buried in the Santaquin Cemetery. Fox 13 News will have live team coverage of the ceremony on Monday. We will broadcast it all live on air, as well as on our social media pages and our website, fox13now.com. Coming up in our next half hour, we'll hear from a police officer with the Salem Police Department who is just one of many other officers helping to lighten Santaquin PD's load tonight as they mourn. But for now, here live in Santaquin, Kelly Chapman, Fox 13 News, Utah. Bob, back to you in studio.
Kelly, thank you so much. In other news tonight, days after Miss USA 2023 and former Utah Representative Noelia Voigt announced her sudden resignation, other Miss USA 2023 state title holders are also speaking out. In a joint statement today, they called for the Miss USA organization to release Voigt from her confidentiality agreement and requested a response from the organization within 24 hours. Also today, this young lady, Miss Teen USA Uma Sofia Srivastava, resigned her crown as well, saying her personal values no longer fully align with the direction of the organization. She made the announcement in a post on Instagram. Well, within the past few hours, it was shared by the Smith Entertainment Group that they want your help in naming Utah's new NHL franchise. They want you to vote for your favorite names in a multi-phase survey. Fox 13 Sports Director Jeff Ryanier joins us now. Jeff.
Yeah, Bob, before Ryan and Ashley Smith purchased the team, Ryan asked fans on social media, if an NHL team were to come to Utah, what should we name it? They received over 1,000 replies and selected 20 options from that initial survey, which fans can now vote on starting today until May 22nd. 20 names start with Utah, followed by Venom, Fury, Blizzard, Freeze, Blast, Hive, Power, Yeti, Frost, and HC, along with Squall, Swarm, Glacier, Outlaw, Canyons, Caribou, Mountaineers, Black Diamonds, Mammoths, and Ice. Fans are encouraged to select up to 4 names from the list of 20 options. The results of the future steps of naming this process will be announced later sometime this summer, but the process will take some time. The full branding with the new name, logo, mascot, and colors will not debut this season, but prior to the 2025-26 season. Utah's NHL jersey this upcoming season will display Utah across the front. So here you go, Utah. Go vote for your favorites to help brand the new NHL team here in Utah. For a full list of the 20 names, there's a link and a link to all the survey. We'll go to our website at fox13now.com. Bob?
Jeff, thanks so much. For the past year, Fox 13 News has been looking at the burden school lunch debt is for Utah families. Last year, you helped raise thousands of dollars to help those in need. Today was another fundraising push. Fox 13 News reporting led to a conversation about this issue on Utah's Capitol Hill. Ultimately, no laws were passed, and despite the money raised a year ago, we found the problem is not improving. Statewide, the total unpaid school lunch debt is more than $2.8 million.
And I can guarantee you there are children here in Utah who go to school and perhaps they participate in the breakfast and they eat lunch and they don't eat again until they go back to school the next day and have breakfast.
While the lunch debt issue is limited to schools, those working to end food insecurity believe it's a window to a larger issue of hunger in our society, a problem that will take a community effort. That's why we are asking those who can to chip in just a little to help. Even a couple of dollars goes a long way. Scan the QR code on your screen right now to donate. You can also text lunch debt, one word, to 50155. Donations will be matched up to $10,000 by the Scripps Howard Fund. We've already raised, get this, more than $24,000 and counting, not including that match. So do it right now, if you can. Well, I'll tell you what, the weather is changing and we're keeping our eye on the wind.
Yes, that's right. So pretty calm out there right now, but changes are going to be arriving tomorrow. Starting at 6 a.m., we have wind advisories for the Wasatch Front. This is going to include our typical downslope prone area from about I-80 up through Brigham City. This does include the Wasatch Front, and then also as we look up towards the Cache Valley. Then a high wind watch kicks in for Weber and Davis counties for tomorrow night. That is where and when we're expecting our strongest wind gusts. Now we've got an area of low pressure that's going to cut off from the jet stream. It's going to move right over southwest Utah, and that is why we're going to have some very strong winds for a couple of days. So if you can tonight, or definitely before you leave for work or school in the morning, secure anything that's loose in your yard. Umbrellas, patio furniture, trampolines, certainly anything that could become a projectile you'll want to make sure is secured, especially into tomorrow night when we're expecting the possibility of some wind gusts 60+ miles per hour. For Salt Lake City, over the next couple of hours, we'll be in the 40s through about 2 a.m. Then we'll drop into the 30s overnight. But we are looking at some warmer temperatures for this weekend. It's just a lot of wind to get through for a couple more days. We'll have more on that coming up.
Coming up, how one family is doing its part to help prevent distracted driving in a creative way. It's the latest in our Driven to Change reports. Plus, we have an update on a young Utah hockey player who's made a big step in achieving his biggest dreams on the ice. It's a story you'll only see on Fox 13 News.
For the second straight year, the Utah lacrosse team faces a very good team in the first round of the NCAA tournament. We'll hear from the Utes coming up.
Something that impacts all of us. Now picture this. You're getting in your car, you put your seatbelt on, start the engine, and you start driving. At some point, you might feel tempted to check your phone, but that's what one family is trying to get you to avoid. I'm Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubbi, and I'll introduce you to the Merrill family that are making bags like this to help prevent distracted driving. At the dining table in the Merrill household,
This is kind of our family dinner. We sit around the table and put things together. And
is a project aimed at making a difference.
They'll save lives and save people and other people's lives too.
They make little bags by sewing fabric of all patterns and designs lined with fleece to hold your phone while you drive.
what you do is you put your phone in it, and then there's a paracord and a toggle, so you cinch it down.
To prevent you from looking at your phone and reminding you to focus on driving.
You know, it doesn't block the cell signal or anything like that. It's just a reminder. And if we can have patterns that people like, then they'll use it.
Started out as an Eagle Scout project by Tori's son Logan about 5 years ago. They took a break for a while and restarted it earlier this year.
I think in the last 2.5, 3 months, I've probably put together 600.
Tori has been giving them out at traffic schools. Her sons give them out at their schools. They go to safety fairs, put them on cars and parking lots, and pass them along to anyone who wants to give the bags away.
A lady who gives them to everyone in the neighborhood turns 16. It's kind of her little gift that she shows up with a little card and a little treat and a little bag.
And it's something she gets to make
because that'll help it go through
with her sons.
Sewing is really fun. I like to spend time with my family, you know, like just being able to sit here and sew with my mom.
Tori gives the bags away for free. They also come with a little card inside with the message and how you can get more bags or donate fabric or money. The ultimate goal is saving lives.
If everybody was off their phone, if you didn't have a single driver on the road on a cell phone, a single driver distracted, how much safer our roads would be.
I want to see them go all around the world.
In Pleasant Grove, I am Maithili Gubbi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you want a bag, you can get in touch with Tori at focusbagcampaign@gmail.com. Independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told the New York Times today that in 2010, he experienced severe memory loss and mental fog. His doctors at the time told him it could have been caused by a worm that got into his brain, ate a portion of it, and then died. The 70-year-old told the Times it did not require treatment and that he has since completely recovered. Kennedy believes he contracted the parasite while traveling overseas. He's been trying to portray himself as vibrant and youthful on the campaign trail compared to President Biden and former President Trump by skiing and weightlifting. The former interpreter for Los Angeles Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani has agreed to plead guilty to bank and tax fraud. Prosecutors say Ippei Mizuhara stole nearly $17 million from the Japanese baseball player to pay off debts. The bank fraud charge carries a maximum of 30 years in prison. The plea agreement says Mizuhara will be required to pay Otani restitution. Mizuhara will enter his guilty plea in the coming weeks and is set to be arraigned May 14th. Now to a story you'll only see on Fox 13 News. The Beehive State has been buzzing over the last month with the pro hockey coming to town beginning next season. As Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold shows us, a 10-year-old hockey player from Provo will get to compete in a prestigious tournament this summer, the same as hundreds of NHL players before him.
How long have you been playing hockey?
Since I was like 4 or 5.
As Axe Madsen glides across the ice at Peaks Ice Arena in Provo, he fired shot after shot on his brother Zane.
He sometimes just like ha-ha and laughs and stuff.
And what do you say when you score on him?
I kind of do the same thing back.
A little different than his normal duties on the ice as a defenseman.
Say the other team has the puck and they're coming to you, you're trying to stop them from getting in, from shooting to your goalie.
He's just a smart hockey player and a great teammate.
Axe says his love for the sport comes from his dad, Cody.
Every year we build a 45 by 25 sheet of ice, so we don't have to come to the ice rink all the time. We can stay at home and skate on a Saturday morning or whatever.
It's Axe's skills on the ice and dedication to the sport that are taking his game to another level.
He made the Western Selects 2014 Brick team.
The team is made up of elite players from more than a dozen states in the western portion of the United States. Cody says Axe went through tryouts in both Las Vegas and Long Beach, California.
I believe it went from 250 kids total that tried out down to a team of 14 skaters and 2 goalies.
Before finding out he made the team at the end of last year.
Axe is one of 2 kids from Utah this year to make the team, and they're the first 2 from Utah in 34-year history of the Brick tournament to represent the state of Utah.
Well, Cody tells me that Axe's journey with the team will begin on Tuesday when they travel to Pittsburgh for the first series of the Brick tournament.
2 weeks after Pittsburgh, we will travel to Las Vegas for a training camp with the team. 2 weeks after Las Vegas, we travel to Chicago. I believe 2 weeks after that, we're in Vancouver, Canada for another training. Straight from Vancouver, we go to Edmonton, which is the grand finale of the Brick Invitational,
which will take place in July. For Axe, his goal is simple.
To beat all the other teams and win the tournaments.
With his ultimate goal and dream not too far from his mind.
To get on the NHL.
In Provo, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A GoFundMe page for Axe has been started as he gets ready to travel the country and to Canada to play hockey. If you'd like to donate, we have a link on our website, fox13now.com. Allison, what an incredible young man.
I know,
Looking
that's
forward.
impressive. And
Yeah.
I come from a hockey family, and I will recognize flow when I see it. He's
got
got the
it?
hockey flow, and I think that my brothers would be very, very impressed. I'll have to send them that story. Congratulations, that's very exciting. 45 currently in the Cache Valley, 49 for Salt Lake, 45 for Price, 64 degrees currently in St. George. We've got a cutoff low that is going to dominate our forecast over the next couple of days. What is that, and what does that mean to you? It's an area of low pressure that cuts off from the main jet stream, and that is going to park right across southwest Utah. You'll recognize this counterclockwise flow, and where this causes problems, it becomes an easterly wind that comes down the mountain, and we see some downslope winds, especially along the northern Wasatch Front. And that is likely going to cause some problems heading into the second half of this week, especially Thursday night into Friday morning. We also still have the potential for some mainly isolated to widely scattered showers here across the region heading into Thursday and Friday. And then we head into the second half of the weekend, and it looks like this area of low pressure is going to be shifting a little further east as we get into late Saturday and Sunday. So hopefully these winds don't last for as long as our last downslope wind event did. But Man, Weber and Davis counties, you guys have had a lot of wind already this year, and unfortunately you've got some more on your way starting tomorrow morning, but likely the worst of it Thursday night into Friday morning. So today we're under a northerly flow. It was still cool out there. Temperatures dropping into the 30s. About 4 or 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll see our overnight temperatures in the upper 30s for Salt Lake, mostly cloudy at 6 a.m. And then we're close to 50 degrees tomorrow. Temperatures are going to be rising. So I do have some good news in the 7-day forecast. And then by Mother's Day, things are actually looking quite a bit better here across Utah. But tomorrow at 7 a.m., 30 to 40 for much of Utah. Temperatures tomorrow rising likely to about 60 to 65 for the Wasatch Front, although some cloud cover might prohibit those from growing much warmer than that. And it's going to be windy tomorrow. So it's going to be rather warm across southern Utah and gusty at times, but not likely as strong as our winds here across northern Utah. St. George into the 70s tomorrow. Salt Lake close to 60 for a daytime high. And we have wind advisories starting at 6 a.m. for the Wasatch Front. This is going to be a downslope wind event, so eastern portions of our valleys, and then usually Weber and Davis counties, you guys get hit the hardest. And we'll talk more about some specifics on how strong those winds will be. But here's what I want you to know. Thursday night into Friday morning, that's when you have a high wind watch that will likely get upgraded to a warning. 75 tomorrow in St. George, close to 90 on Mother's Day. For Salt Lake, 60s tomorrow and Friday, 70s for Mother's Day weekend, near 80 on Monday. We'll talk more about that downslope wind event and my thoughts on our extended forecast for our next 2 weeks coming up later in the hour. We'll be right back.
Today, the environmental group Friends of Great Salt Lake hosted a forum where they discussed the health of the lake and its future. Some powerful politicians attended, defended their actions, and warned of battles still being fought. Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz insisted conservation efforts are working. Paradise Representative Casey Snyder pushed back on critics who say lawmakers aren't doing enough.
Frivolous lawsuits about trust and birds, those only hinder progress long-term politically as we work to save the lake. Having an obituary about the Great Salt Lake or some sort of climate grieving therapy session, that does nothing to save Great Salt Lake, nor does dancing as a bird.
In a bizarre moment, speaking of dancing birds, someone dressed up as a phalarope came into the room and tried to give Snyder a hug. Environmentalists suing the state over the lake say what they're doing is clearly working and there may be even more action to save the lake. Today, members of 3 youth groups dedicated to saving 3 different salt lakes came together here in town. The Youth Coalition for Great Salt Lake met with groups from California and Argentina. They talked about the similarities of all 3 lakes and what can be done to save them for generations to come.
We don't have Great Salt Lake as youth. We don't get to grow up in a quality environment.
This is a really great real-world experience to get them involved with that extends beyond the borders of Salt Lake City or Great Salt Lake to this entire hemisphere.
The plan is to hold events at the Great Salt Lake, Mono Lake in California, and Laguna Mar Chiquita in Argentina to save each of those salt lakes.
Hundreds gathered here tonight at Centennial Park in Santa Quin to honor fallen Police Sergeant Hoosier. Coming up, we'll share with you the touching memorial.
Plus tonight, how police officers from other agencies around Utah are stepping up to help the Santa Quin Police Department. And an Eagle Mountain couple's home is falling apart. Why they say finding any help has been impossible.
RSL made it to the semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup last season. They start their run tonight in New Mexico.
Welcome back to Fox 13 News at 9. We continue our coverage of the vigil in Santa Quin tonight. They honored fallen Police Sergeant Bill Hoosier. Kelly, even those of us who never knew him have been touched.
Truly we have, Bob. I can't even begin to express how emotional and touching it was to be here in Santaquin with the community tonight. As we mentioned earlier, hundreds of people came here behind me to Centennial Park. This is filled all to honor the family of Sergeant Hoosier, who died over the weekend. Of course, a lot of emotion and feelings as the program and the vigil unfolded. Family, friends, and brothers in arms shared heartfelt memories and moments where Sergeant Hoosier made an impact in their lives. We had the chance to speak with those who live in the area touched by the show of support tonight.
Even though that family is going through a hard time, Utah is getting united to support them.
I can't even put into words how that was. Everybody's worst nightmare that comes true, and it's just going to be a new world for her.
Bill was the cop that everyone wanted to strive to be. He was a Rolodex of information. If you had a question, Bill was the guy to go to. He'd always know.
A lot of tears here tonight and memories being shared of happy times with Sergeant Hoosier. I want to tell you one of the most impactful sights that I witnessed is when I saw Sergeant Hoosier's widow come into the park tonight wearing Sergeant Hoosier's police jacket. Officers from various agencies now stepping up and filling in at the Santaquin Police Department to cover calls while they grieve. Officer Jamie Wood with the Salem Police Department didn't hesitate to sign up to help. Her department frequently trains with Santaquin, and that's how she met Sergeant Billy Hoosier.
He had the ability to make everything a little bit more fun, just making sure that we're still getting what we need to get done, but that we're all safe and having a good time still.
Wood says Santaquin had 36 12-hour shifts that needed to be filled, and they were all covered within an hour of the request for help. And that doesn't include the 65 other 4-hour overwatch shifts to ensure Sergeant Hoosier and his family are not alone. Those were also immediately covered. Officials say outside agencies are covering Santaquin until the day after the funeral, which is next Monday. Fox 13 News will have live team coverage of the ceremony on Monday. We will broadcast it live on air as well as on our social media pages and our website, fox13now.com. Live in Santaquin tonight, Kelly Chapman, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Kelly, thank you so much for going down and covering that very emotional and impactful vigil for us tonight. Coming up, why UTA bus drivers were protesting this morning. It's an issue that could impact you as a rider.
And changes are arriving in the forecast as a cutoff low moves right over Utah. This is going to create potentially some damaging winds here in the state, plus the chance for showers and what to expect for Mother's Day coming up.
UTA bus drivers were protesting this morning during a Utah Transit Authority meeting. At the end of April, operators received a memo that UTA was considering creating a supplemental service for the ski bus, which would mean using third-party contractors, outsourcing the routes to non-UTA drivers.
They didn't talk to the union beforehand. Usually, with the prior executive directors, if there's a challenge or something with service, they'll talk to the union. We sit down, we work it out, we figure something out, see if we can come up with solutions. None of that was happening. We just all got blindsided. Kind of an insult to everybody here. They've done all this work that they're talking about contracting out, and they've done it well.
UTA says this is all in the exploratory stage, and they would not be replacing existing workers should the agency enter into supplemental service agreements. An Eagle Mountain couple's home is falling apart, and they're trying to get to the bottom of why it's happened and how to fix it. Robert and Tammy Anderson say they moved into the house right after it was built in 2021, but in the years since, they've noticed cracks and settlings starting with the driveway. Inside and outside, cracks are visible in several places.
Is this house safe to be in? And are we going to have to leave?
When all the physical damage started showing up and really kind of ramping up was when the development of the park, the open space in the back, was being excavated and then filled in.
So the Andersons brought their concerns to the city. The environmental compliance specialist on staff ensured the park's development would be structurally sound. The city considers this a civil matter between the homeowner and the builder. The builder, Alpine Homes, sent the Andersons a letter claiming work done by the Andersons' privately hired contractor altered the slope of their backyard and caused improper draining, resulting in the settling. In the same letter, Alpine Homes also says the recent excavation and activities that occurred near the Andersons' rear property line for several days exacerbated the conditions. Fox 13 News reached out to Alpine Homes, but they declined to comment further. The Andersons say they don't have the money to pay for repairs, and insurance won't cover the damage. Coming up, how alcohol sales in Utah help fund school lunches for children in need.
And we'll check in with the Utah lacrosse team before they head to play Duke in the NCAA tournament and RSL in the U.S. Open Cup. Plus, big basketball news, a former Ute is headed to BYU to play for the Cougars, joining a couple of close connections in Provo.
If you are just joining us, we're continuing our day-long blitz to erase student lunch debt in Utah. Students are going into school lunch debt all over our state, even in rural communities. The Emory School District says although almost 40% of their student population gets free meals, this year the total debt students face is about $3,000. Director of Nutritia, Elena Ewell, says there are families in Emory County who qualify but aren't taking advantage of the program.
Those ones that are right on the cusp, they just quite don't qualify for reduced meal benefits or free meal benefits. Those are the hard ones because there are some who, depending on what you do, it's hard to have that money. It's hard to have that money to put into children's accounts for meals.
Ewell says last year an anonymous donor wiped out all of the lunch debt. For the first time this year, the Emory School District will be offering free summer lunches and breakfasts. One way that the state of Utah does provide money for school lunches for children in need is alcohol sales. Liquor is sold in Utah at cost plus an 88.5% markup. The money generated from liquor sales then goes into 5 buckets. There's underage drinking prevention, public safety, substance abuse disorder treatment services, the state's general fund, and school lunches for children in need.
Last year we had almost $60 million, 10% of our gross revenue that was returned to that fund, which is really great to make sure that our children in Utah that need to have a school lunch are able to receive a school lunch.
A bill was introduced in the House by Provo Representative Tyler Clancy to try to expand who's eligible for free meals. It went nowhere. Neither did a request for $4 million to pay for it. The idea of addressing school lunch funding could come up in the next legislative session. But here's how you can donate right now. Text lunch debt, one word, to 50155 or scan the QR code on your screen right now. Donations will be matched up to $10,000 by the Scripps Howard Fund. So far, we've raised more than $24,000. Thank you so much for your generosity.
Well, we've got a lot of wind in the forecast for the next couple of days. An area of low pressure is going to cut off from the main jet stream, and it's going to park right over southwest Utah for a couple of days. With this, we get a counterclockwise flow, some easterly winds, and then pretty quickly that moves off to our east. That's really good news, especially for those of you in Weber and Davis counties. You don't want that parking for too long right to our west, because that just means days of sustained very strong wind gusts. But what we're going to be tracking is hopefully going to be scooting right off to our east and bringing us a really nice Mother's Day on Sunday. So we're looking at some warmer temperatures and some more sunshine. With these downslope winds, we're looking from about Parley's Canyon up through Brigham City, our typical downslope prone areas. Winds gusting 40 to 55 miles per hour for areas highlighted in yellow. That does include Cache County. And then for areas highlighted in orange, those are wind gusts 55 to 65 plus miles per hour. We're expecting our peak wind gusts Thursday, late night into early Friday morning. So overnight Thursday night into Friday morning. Here's what I want you to know. Downslope winds to prepare everything that you can do now. And what that does include is securing anything that's loose outdoors. If tomorrow's trash day, I'm sorry, but I would forget about it. And I would wait until next week. We've got some very strong winds that are possible. We've got wet grounds out there, a lot of leaves on the trees. If you can avoid parking underneath any trees, I think that's a really good idea. And I would keep your phone fully charged and any high wind potential event. And if you have any necessary electronics, backup batteries and fully charged. If you can swing that all before you head out the door tomorrow morning, that's going to be your best bet, but certainly by tomorrow afternoon. Temps right now here across the state, many of us dropping into the 40s. Still some chances for showers at times throughout the day through Saturday here across northern Utah, mainly from about Salt Lake further north. But as we look at our wind gust forecast over the next couple of days, that is mostly going to be impacting the northern Wasatch Front. Tomorrow at 7 a.m., close to 30 to 40 for the Wasatch Front. Rising tomorrow, a little bit warmer than today, and things will keep getting warmer heading into this weekend. Chance of precipitation for Ogden pretty low the next couple of days, but isolated Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Provo, your chance of precipitation widely scattered for tomorrow, and then widespread potentially on Friday, isolated Saturday and Sunday. For St. George, you'll see some chances for isolated showers Friday, Saturday, and then for Price, your chance of precipitation will be isolated tomorrow, Friday widely scattered, and Saturday widely scattered, but then isolated still Sunday and Monday. Looking into the southeast over the next couple of days, we have a lot of precipitation, but for us here in Utah, we're mainly looking at less than half of an inch here over the next few days here across Utah, really less than a quarter inch if any areas do see rainfall. St. George 75 tomorrow, close to 90 on Mother's Day, and likely not as windy as us here along the northern Wasatch Front. 64 tomorrow in Salt Lake. Widely scattered rain is possible, along with wind really picking up for those downslope areas. And then Sunday, Mother's Day, sunny and 75 degrees.
Real Salt Lake made it all the way to the U.S. Open Cup semifinal last year. They were hoping to start another run tonight at New Mexico, a second division team that plays in the USL Championship. But they proved to be a tough team. Zico Bailey scored 2 goals in the 17th and 19th minute to put New Mexico up 2-0. RSL did fight back. It's Fidel Barajas, the 18-year-old, shoots and scores to make it 2-1 in the 35th minute. But New Mexico went back on top on this goal from Nicky Hernandez. They led it 3-1 at the half. RSL did cut into that lead in the second half on this goal from Diego Luna, but New Mexico won it 4-2, knocking RSL out of the U.S. Open Cup. Kay Baqueta has transferred to BYU after playing 2 seasons at Utah, averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 1 block in 35 games last season with the Utes. He's following former Utah assistant coach Chris Burgess to BYU, and he's now an assistant there. Keita will also be reunited with his former Wasatch Academy teammate, Fousseni Traore. They're both from Mali. After repeating as ASUN champions, the Utah lacrosse team is back in the NCAA tournament against a marquee opponent. Fox 13's Morgan Vance caught up with the Red Hot Utes.
There are certainly perks to winning another conference tournament, but the biggest of those is a berth in the NCAA lacrosse tournament, where another giant of an opponent awaits. It's only year number 6 of the program.
I remember when I first came in under Brian Holman, he wanted to be a team that was competing for a national championship, and I think we're kind of finally starting to see that. We know that we're building something pretty special, and it's working.
9 straight wins to end the regular season, including a second consecutive ASUN championship where sophomore attack Ryan Steins took the Conference Player of the Year.
I mean, it's just a credit to the leadership. I mean, the seniors, Tyler Bradbury, Jordan Hyde, my line mates, my defenders who are pushing transition, who are getting us the ball, our face-off team that's really fighting for those possessions for us.
But in NC2A lacrosse, there are essentially 2 tiers, a small batch of East Coast Giants and everybody else. A year ago, the Utes got knocked out at eventual champion Notre Dame, and this season will travel to last year's runner-up, Duke.
You know, we've played teams at that caliber before. Like, we played Syracuse, we played Denver this year. We played a Hopkins last year. That was very good. So going into this next game, it's just, you know, not having those nerves, being ready to play, and not playing scared.
Ryan, is momentum enough to give you guys a shot to potentially upset a giant like Duke?
Absolutely, and I think, you know, momentum and really any kind of mental thing is really what you make it. You know, every individual player and every team has the power to, you know, take control and become what they need to become for a given week, for a given matchup. So we're a fast-paced team. We trust in our guys, and we've got the guys to get it done.
Being one of 16 teams playing in May, I mean, if you think about the 80 or 90 Division I college programs still playing, I mean, that's pretty special, and that definitely puts our name on the board.
With the Utes, Morgan Vance, Fox 13 Sports.
It'd be great to see him pull off that upset against Duke.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, it kind of would shock the lacrosse world, and the Utes have already been great. So
it's so great to see lacrosse becoming more and more prevalent here in Utah.
And the Utes have been right there building that program as they started their team.
So we wish them the very best.
Way to go, Utes.
Thanks so much. We'll be right back. We've said it before, it's been 20 years since the cult classic Napoleon Dynamite came out in theaters. I remember when our family saw it. Tonight there was a sold-out special 20th anniversary screening of the movie at the Ellen Eccles Theater in Logan. Little Napoleon. After the movie, there was a Q&A with John Heder and Efren Ramirez, the actors who played Napoleon Dynamite and Pedro. I'm sorry we're not seeing them, but I tell you what, that was about the best sleeper comedy because we thought it was stupid the first night. Then the next day, then you're laughing your head off. Hilarious. Thanks for watching. QuickCast is up next.